Hey guys, I'm the NFL Addict, and today I will be finally telling you guys my grades for every single team from the 2021 NFL Draft. So I'm just gonna be going through every team from A to Z because that's how NFL has them listed, and I will be grading them. Well, I already have them graded, but I'm gonna be revealing my grades. Starting off, we have the Cardinals. I'm gonna give them an A. They got Zaven Collins, who I think a lot of people expected him to pick, but is still a great pick nonetheless. I like the fact that we already got him. He's arguably the best linebacker in the draft. They also got a nice weapon in Rondale Moore in the second round, and then they went out and got some pieces for their secondary in the rounds following that. So not an immaculate crazy draft where they completely changed their team, but they're just a good team that got better. Next up, we have, if I can click, okay, there we go. We have the Falcons, who are going to get a B from me because, yeah, they got Kyle Pitts, and that was definitely a good pickup, but in my opinion, I feel like they should have added to that defense because, in the first round, they did add to a lot to their secondary in that defense towards the end of the draft, but I feel like at the fourth overall pick, I feel like their defense was a much bigger need than tight end, and it looks to me like they knew that in the later rounds because they got safety, cornerback, defensive tackle, defensive end, and cornerback in the later rounds. I just feel like, at the fourth pick, when no defensive players have been picked yet, it's all been quarterbacks, I feel like you could have gone for a defensive player. Now, I know everybody else was, going all for Kyle Pitts, but I feel like weapon is not their biggest need right now. And in my opinion, I didn't much like it. And also, I don't really agree with a lot of the picks they made on defense later in the round. I feel like we could have been better on some of those. So the Falcons get a B, which isn't bad at all. I feel like there are a lot of teams that have pretty good drafts in this one. So you're going to see a lot of Bs and As. Just prepare yourself. And then we're going to have the Ravens, who get a B+. Went out in the offseason and kept on trying to sign wide receivers. So like, all right, whatever. If we can't get them to come to us, then we're going to go to them. And they signed or drafted a wide receiver in the first round, and Rashad Bateman. And they also got a wide receiver in the fourth round. The rest of that, when it's a good team like the Ravens, I'm not going to be sitting here saying, I'm not going to be critiquing every single pick. They were a B+. They did what they needed to do. They didn't do anything crazy, so they didn't get an A. But they did get a B+, which is a pretty good grade. At the Bills, are going to get a B- here. This is another case, an A- here. This is another case of a team that's already good, just drafting some players to fill some holes. There's going to be there's going to be some teams like this where, I can't exactly say, they filled their big need at this position, because the Bills, they didn't really, in my opinion, I feel like they're the best team in the league right now. You can say the Chiefs, Buccaneers, but I think the Bills are the number one team in the league right now. So they get an A- because they did what they needed to do. They filled up some holes on the defensive front seven. Other than that, though, nothing too special. Get an A- from me. They did what they needed to do, so they get an A-. Next up, we have the Panthers who get a B-. I didn't much like their first round selection. Kind of like the Falcons. They went with J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina, when Justin Fields was sitting right there, fell into their lap. I know you've got Sam Darnold, but I would much rather have a battle between Sam Darnold and Justin Fields and no J.C. Horn in that secondary than a pretty good secondary upgraded with a very good cornerback that is J.C. Horn with only Sam Darnold in at quarterback. I know they've got Will Grier back there, but really, Will Grier's played one game. Well, he's played 3 quarters of one game, and he had a 0 QBR throughout 3 quarters. It wasn't like he went out there and threw 2 passes. He actually just played that badly. Also, they didn't get Patrick Surtain. I feel like Patrick Surtain is so much better than J.C. Horn. So they had Patrick Surtain and Justin Fields sitting there at 8, and they chose J.C. Horn. I don't much like it. However, it's not terrible. Obviously he's a pretty good player, and it does fill a need that they did have. So I'm not gonna be too mad about that. Next up, Bears get an A. It would be an A+ if they didn't have some questionable picks down the line, but that first round was enough to get them up into the A category. They traded up and got Justin Fields at 11. That was a ballsy move. If Justin Fields pays off, if Justin Fields becomes a very, very good, quarterback and is good, is a superstar, then that will it won't completely make up for it, but it'll lessen the blow of the Patrick Mahomes and Mr. Trubisky thing that Bears fans are still hearing about to this day. So they get an A from me. It was a pretty good draft, especially like I said, that move they made in the first round. Now you have the Bengals, first C we're seeing here, one of the few. They get a C minus for me, almost a D, and it's all because of that first round. A lot of these teams have pretty bad first rounds and pick it up in the later rounds. The Bengals didn't do anything too crazy in the final rounds. And let me just tell you why I didn't like their first round. So they had the 5th pick in the draft. It comes time for them, obviously. The only people I've gone off the board are Kyle Pitts and 3 quarterbacks, and they obviously don't need a quarterback. So this whole offseason, if you were a Bengals fan, which I'm not, but if you're a football fan in general and you care about what the Bengals are going to draft, it was between Penei Sewell and Jamar Chase, and I was all in on Penei Sewell. They desperately need offensive line help, and they also desperately need another wide receiver. When you look at that offensive line, they were being sacked constantly last year, and they did get Riley Reif this offseason. They did draft a guard in the 2nd round and all that, which is why they don't have a D, because they did pick up some pieces for the offensive line later in the draft. But I really would have liked to see offensive line. I mean, they've already got T. Higgins, they've already got Tyler Boyd. I do not think that Jamar Chase was as big as a need as Penei Sewell would have filled. Next up, we have the Browns, who just get an A+ from me. They get Greg Newsome, another weapon for that secondary. They got John Johnson. They got Greg Newsome. Also, they got, in my opinion, the steal out of the draft, Jeremiah Owusu. I can't even say that last name, but he is a linebacker. He fell to the 20th pick in the 2nd round. In my opinion, I feel like Washington should have picked him at 19, but they didn't. So he fell over a round farther than I thought he would, or over 32 picks more than I thought he would. So the Browns got a steal there. They get an A+ for me. They're going to be a serious Super Bowl contender next year. Mark my words. Next up, we have the Cowboys, who get a B-, and this is simply because they did not pick up any pieces for that offensive line until the 4th round, till the 33rd pick in the 4th round, when they got Josh Ball, an offensive tackle from, Marshall. And they also got a guard in the 7th round, but let's just be honest, it's pretty rare the 7th round picks are anything crazy. Now, they did trade back and get Micah Parsons, and what I mean by that is they were hoping to get Patrick Surtain. He ends up going around before them, which must hurt if you're a Cowboys fan. They drop back though. They do get Micah Parsons, who is up there with Jeremiah Okamara. I can't say that. I can't remember that last name. And the guy the Cardinals got for best linebacker in the draft. So they did get a pretty good piece of that defense, which is why they're up here, because they did get one of their needs filled. But I would have liked to see some more offensive line picks, especially. I know they were injury riddled last year, but I would like to see some more of that. Other than that, it was a pretty okay draft. They get a B-. A lot of people are going to be mad that I put them at B-, but you have to remember, C is average, B- is slightly above average. But there were a lot of above average drafts this year, okay? Which is why we're not seeing too many bad ones. Broncos, A-. They got Patrick Surtain when really he should have gone in 8th. The Panthers should have taken Patrick Surtain if they were going quarterback. Like I said, I think that they should have gotten, I feel like that the Panthers should have gone for Justin Fields, but they went for J.C. Horn. And I feel like if the Panthers are going to go for a quarterback, they should have got, it doesn't, it's whatever. But they got Patrick Surtain, and then in the 2nd round, early in the 2nd round, mind you, they got a replacement, hopefully, for Phillip Lindsay and Javonte Williams. They added, a piece to that offensive line and then some secondary help. The secondary, by the way, is going to be lethal next year with all these pieces that they're adding. So I really like the Broncos draft. It's not, again, they get an A. A lot of people are going to see that minus, and they're going to feel, I feel like there's a lot of fans that would feel better seeing a B+ and an A-, but you have to remember an A- is still very good. I like their draft. I just also think that the Broncos should have gone for Justin Fields instead of Patrick Surtain. However, I do like the Patrick Surtain pick. It's not the same situation as, in Carolina. So, yeah, whatever. Next up, we have the Lions, who somehow, some way managed to nab Penei Sewell at the 7th round pick. Not 7th, sorry. If Penei Sewell fell to the 7th round, that'd be a huge steal. But no, Penei Sewell at the 7th pick, when, like I said, he should have gone at 5th. Penei Sewell, the only thing I don't really like about that is Penei Sewell is the kind of guy that, offensive line isn't their, biggest need, obviously. It probably would have been better statistic-wise or something for them to pick a different position. But Penei Sewell is this type of player. When he falls to you, you have to pick him. If you have the 7th pick in the draft this year and Penei Sewell falls down that far, you go for them, and they did. After that, though, didn't really like a lot of the picks that they made, so I'm trying not to go too in depth in a lot of these, in a lot of these because I don't want this to be an hour-long video, but it is whatever. Oh, my computer just died. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the Packers get an A from me. They went quarterback in the first round, which I didn't much like. After watching the first round, I thought they were going to screw over Aaron Rodgers again. But then the rest of their picks were mainly just offensive line. They also got Amari Rodgers, who was a wide receiver. So I like the rest of their draft. It would have been an A+ if they had gone for a wide receiver or offensive lineman at round 1. But again, they completely made up for that in the later rounds. Then we have the Texans, who get a C. They did not have any first or second round picks. They only ended up with 5 picks. They did get Davis Mills. I thought that Davis Mills was going to go to, I know I didn't post any mock drafts. That's because, I just, those are, different than predictions. I just didn't feel comfortable posting those. But I actually thought that Davis Mills was going to go to the Buccaneers at 32. The Buccaneers did end up picking the quarterback, which we'll talk about later. But they did get Davis Mills at round 3. Now, I do have to kind of mention that picking a quarterback with your first pick isn't the greatest. However, Davis Mills is a very good quarterback, and with all this stuff going on with Deshaun Watson, I guess it does make sense to pick yourself up a nice, backup, I guess, or worst case scenario. I don't know what to call it. They also did get a couple of extra weapons with Brevin Jordan and Nico Collins. So I do kind of like the picks that they made, but also don't really like. I like, but I don't love the Davis Mills pick and the fact he didn't trade up for anything. I think it a C. It's pretty average. It's nothing. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It's whatever. And we have the Colts. I keep on saying what it is before I even switch. We have the Colts. Get a C+ for me. Again, nothing too special. I added a lot to that defense. They got a nice tight end. They did get a quarterback, which kind of surprised me, but I guess, it's the 34th pick in the 6th round. You might as well take a quarterback. But I feel like if you're going to give up that much stuff for Carson Wentz, I don't see why they draft a quarterback, but again, it's whatever. All right, so next up we have the Jaguars, who also get a C+ because they got Trevor Lawrence in the first overall pick, which, I know it was what it was expected, but it is still a very good pick. I do feel like he's going to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. He was a very safe pick. However, then they went and they got Travis Etienne. You've got James Robinson in that running back. Their running game, with especially James Robinson, was one of the only parts of their team, definitely the only part of that offense that actually worked and actually was, chugging along last season. And they go out and they get a running back in the 25th pick of the first round. Didn't much like that. They get a C+ from me. Moving on, we have the Chiefs, who get a B-. This is another team that didn't have a pick in the first round. Did have a couple in the second, though. Again, kind of like the Bills and the Browns. This is a team that, I didn't really expect them to do anything crazy. They didn't do anything crazy. They did what they were expected to do, so they get a B- from me. Not much I can say for the Chiefs here. Let's move on. Again, the Chargers, kind of the same deal. I know they're not, amazing, but a lot of their problems last year were with coaching. They have a very, very good team, and they were just really badly coached. So they went out, they got some weapons. Not some weapons, but they got some pieces for that offense, and they did actually get some weapons with Josh Palmer and Trey McKitty. So, I like their draft a lot. They didn't get any superstars or anything. Well, I guess we'll wait and see, but they didn't get any. They didn't do anything crazy, so they get an A+, but they did what I expected them to do. They did what I think they should have done. They get an A- from me. Then we have the Rams, who get a C-, and this is another team that did not have any picks in the first round. They did go out and get a Tutu Atwell, wide receiver from Louisville, pick 25 in the second round. This is another team. Didn't do anything too crazy. Let's move on. If you can't tell, I'm trying to shorten these because I know people don't want to watch me go through 32 teams and spend 10 minutes on each team. We're seeing a lot of C's. I don't remember making all these teams have C's, but I did. Do not like the Alex Leatherwood pick here. I feel like their offensive line was very good last year, and I feel like that they did not need to pick offensive line with the 17th overall pick, and then they went Alex Leatherwood. I personally don't like it at all. Other than that, pretty okay draft. They had some good picks later in the round, which is why they don't, have a worse than C. I think I've only got one team. I think that's a D. But other than that, Raiders get a C. Yeah. Then we have the Dolphins. Sorry. Then we have the Dolphins. Forgot I needed to wait. They got Jalen Waddle. I think they were hoping to get Jamar Chase. I feel like if Jamar Chase was the fault of them, if the Bengals had made the right choice and not drafted Jamar Chase would be a Dolphin right now. However, they ended up getting Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama. I'm talking too fast. And I definitely think that was probably the second best wide receiver in the draft. A really good pick. And then they went and they got Jalen Phillips, another really good pick. I like what they were doing in the first round, and I like a lot of what they were doing in the later rounds. They just didn't get a A+ just because I like to leave those to drafts that are pretty much on point, exactly what they needed to do. All right, next up we have the Vikings, who get a B from me. Christian Darrisaw was a really good offensive tackle. Kind of surprised he fell to them at 23rd. I like the fact that they picked Christian Darrisaw. I do not like the fact they picked Kellen Mond. They did not need a quarterback. They do not need a quarterback. I don't like it. But, it's not going to be too bad picking a pretty good backup quarterback. So, it's whatever. Patriots get a B+. Mac Jones was definitely the fifth out of the top 5 quarterbacks for a reason in everybody's rankings. I don't think anyone had him above Justin Fields, Trey Lance, or any of those other two. But I do like the fact they went quarterback there. I would have liked to see them trade up. I was thinking before the draft they were going to trade up possibly into the top 5 and go for Justin Fields. Whenever the Giants traded away their 11th pick to the Bears, I actually really expected to see either Washington or the Patriots. Turned out to be the Bears, which I actually went in shock, which is why again the Bears have a pretty good high grade. Patriots going to be plus though. I like their draft. It's whatever. The Saints are gonna get an A- from me. This is a team that desperately needs to figure their situation out, and I'm pretty sure after looking at who they drafted, that they're gonna try to be a defense-heavy team. Their first 3 picks were all defense. After that, they went a backup quarterback, offensive line, and wide receiver in the 6th and 7th rounds. So they got a nice backup for Jameis Winston and Ian Book. I assume that if I was the Saints, I wouldn't want Taysom Hill to be your only backup because he is a very, very non-quarterback quarterback. He does a lot of out-of-position plays, and he is probably a big injury risk. So I like what they're doing. I like the fact that they're just going all in on defense. I also like the fact they got another backup quarterback, so they get an A- from me. All right, next up, we have the Giants who get an A+. I really like what they did. Almost every one of their picks was perfect. They got a nice added to that running back depth. They got Kadarius Toney, another weapon for Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones doesn't put up good numbers this year, if he doesn't finally lead the Giants to a winning record this year, it's going to be his fault completely because they've added Kyle Rudolph, Kenny Golladay, and now Kadarius Toney to that offense. And I feel like right now it's all on Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones has a good season next year, the Giants could potentially go 12-5 or something crazy like that. So if I was a Giants fan, I'd be very happy about this draft. It was very, very good for them. Oh crap, I keep on clicking on the wrong teams. Next up is the Jets, who also happen to get an A+. They got Zach Wilson. They got AVT, who was possibly one of the best guards in the draft this year. They also added a couple weapons. I just really like what they were doing. They've completely reloaded that offense. They've gone from pretty bad to pretty good and a pretty good young defense. Pretty good young offense. Like what the Jets did. Did exactly, in my opinion, what they needed to do. Then we have the Eagles, who get a B+. They traded up 2 spots for Devontae Smith, giving up a 3rd in the process. This is a team that, again, I feel like they're in full-on rebuild mode. This draft didn't really mean anything because this next season is all going to be about Jalen Hurts. They got him his old teammate back in Devontae Smith. I like that. I feel like the Giants probably would have picked him up at 11. In fact, they traded up to 10th to get that. It was pretty smart. I feel like that's also why the Giants traded back is because they wanted Devontae Smith and he got taken, kind of like how the Cowboys traded back. I like what they were doing, but again, it could have been better. All right, next up we have the Steelers. One of the things I don't like is how in the first round they went running back instead of offensive line. I understand that their running game was inconsistent, but whenever picking another running back is not going to fix that. They already have James Robinson. It's not James Robinson. It's partly James Robinson's fault. They didn't have a running game, but it's mainly that horrible offensive line. And then in round 2, they picked a tight end, who again, yeah, I guess adding another offensive weapon wouldn't hurt that bad. Sorry, I can't speak English apparently. They also then finally they added a couple pieces to the offensive line, and that's it. They added Hendrick Green, who was a guard, and Dan Moore, who was an offensive tackle. They got to be minus for me. It's not bad. It's not great. Sorry, I think it's getting pretty obvious. I don't have that much to say about all these teams. They got Trey Lance, which I do like a lot. I thought they were going to go for Mac Jones here. Very glad they didn't. Mac Jones was who I thought they were going to go for, not who I thought they should have gone for. I was thinking they should have gone for Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Couldn't really figure out which one I liked better. They went for Trey Lance, so they get points for that. And then this is another team that the reason that they're this low is simply because of injuries, and I think they're getting everybody back, so they didn't need to do too much. They got a nice backup quarterback probably for next season. I do not think they'll be trading away Jimmy G. However, if they do end up trading him away, that's going to be a lot of draft picks the next couple of years, just saying. Then we have our only D of the draft, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. And I clicked on an ad. Man, I hate this. If you don't know, I have all the picks, because I can't memorize every single pick a couple of days after the draft, so I have all the picks over here. All these grades are already put in. But they went out, they got a wide receiver, which I definitely think wasn't their biggest need. And yeah, I mean, they didn't really. I just don't like the picks they had. They had a second rounder, a fourth rounder, and a sixth rounder, and I didn't like them. What can I say? They get a D. It's not a D minus or a D plus. Sorry, it's just a D. I meant to say it's not a D minus or an F, but it's just a D. All right. Next up, we have the Bucks. Another team. I like the fact they got Kyle Trask. I thought they were going to go quarterback in round 1. They went quarterback in round 2. So did what I wanted them to do, which was get a nice young backup quarterback for Tom Brady when he eventually retires. Sorry, if he eventually retires. So, yeah. He was saying so and nothing else. I'm embarrassing myself. 2 more teams left. We have the Titans, who get a B minus. I just kind of, again, don't have too much to say about them. I just kind of like what they were doing. Adding to that defense was always a good thing. And then we have Washington. They had a really stellar draft, except for the fact they should have gotten Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I can't say the last name. At 19, Jamin Davis is good, and he's a good fit. I have heard that he is kind of like Luke Kuechly, who, if you don't know, played for the Panthers, who were coached by Ron Rivera, and they were very successful when he was very successful. So if Jamin Davis can be like that, it's an A+. But I really thought they should have gone Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah or Zaven Collins if he had fallen that far. However, Zaven Collins didn't, and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I'm just saying that now. I'm not even going to pretend that I know his last name. But I ended up going Jamin Davis, which I don't hate, which is why I don't have an A- or nothing like that. But it's whatever. Thank you so much for watching this video. Sorry if I seem kind of jumbled. I'm trying to do this fast. I don't want this to be a long video. I'm sure it is. But thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please like this video. I'm begging you. The schedule is coming out soon, so I will have lots of record predictions coming out 24/7, basically. So I love doing record predictions. Are my favorite things to do. I can sit down and do record predictions every single day, which is why I do that. So let's see how long this video was. Come on. 23 minutes. Dang. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.